Come on, y'all. We're going to have to talk about it. The bruised blood and the healing. It's so funny. This is the season. A lot of us, I don't know why we get in this headspace like when God tells us something, we go, oh, we go, you guys, let's go over the door, we just run into it, yay, yes, go, yes. If you did not hear my last video, God puts us through 4 steps. What are the 4 steps? Preparation, stretching, applicative testing, and then purging to let go of stuff. But we're also doing that while we're healing. And we're doing that several times over and over and over again in a healing process. What are we talking about today? Bruised blood that needs to be healed. Now you can take this in multiple different ways. When you think of a bruise, this isn't a bruise, but it's a scar. I actually burnt my hand recently. I also have, if you see this, I have some scars. You can't really see them, but I have a scar there, I have a scar there, and I have some other minuscule scars. But when we, and I'll use this one as an example. You see how that's red underneath? That's like an underbruise. It's healing. If you touch the top skin, it's hard as it heals, but the under part is still bruised. A lot of us are like this. We go through experiences in our lives. And as we are going through our experiences in our lives, we come to find that in these experiences that we create a hard outer skin. If I were to tap that area, it would really feel hard right now. Why? Because we aren't dealing with that soft part. If I was to press on that, it would hurt. It would hurt. A young woman that I listened to, Megan Michelle, you hear me talk about her a lot. She did a live yesterday and was talking about some things, and she made the point of saying, and this was such a good statement she was making, is like some of us, if we have bruises that we aren't dealing with, when they heal, you tap on a bruise that has been healed, it's just a black spot. It doesn't bother you. But if it has not healed completely, it's gonna still be sore. Just like that. Even my hand. What's going on with my hand? The way that these fingers are, I've actually been dealing with residual pain surges in my hand from when I hit my hand last year. Why? Because it has not completely healed. It didn't completely heal and it did not completely heal, nor did it completely heal correctly. And that is what the Lord is doing right now. He's trying to heal us correctly in this season. Now, I need to pray to the Lord about some things in relation to my healing, because of the fact that I happened to notice something very interesting recently, that the enemy always hits me on the same side. I ain't got no bruises on the other side of my body. Everything's on this side. When I was 5 years old, I got a scar in my from hitting my head, my eyebrow, right here on this side. Scar this side, hand this side, knee this side, ankle on this side. I actually had an injury where I fell. What did I hit? Everything on this side. I don't know what that is. The enemy comes after this side. I guess it's because it's my strong side. We all have a strongest side. If we lift things, if we're doing things, if we're using our hands, our strongest side is our dominant side, and that's the side that I always get hit on. But when it comes down to it, Jesus is about healing us. He wants to heal us of whatever it is in which we have been dealing with, or shall I say, not dealing with. Our hurts, our pains, things within us that are temperaments that have bothered us for years, things that are subconsciously we have suppressed. I heard somebody put it, I forgot who that was. It's like a storage file that we will store things in files. Oh my God, that was just look at you, God. We will store things up in files that we don't need, pain we don't need, things we don't need, and they're in storage files in our back cabinets, holding up and taking up space. Why do I say this? This morning, my computer's been giving me warnings for the past 6 months, well, technically almost a year, saying I'm about to delete everything in this filing cabinet because you're over your capacity. You no longer can add anything else to this storage space. If you do not delete, this entire account's going to be shut down. I was like, for the longest time, I did not go in there and delete anything. This morning, I turned around and said, let me go in here and delete some of this stuff. I said, I'm going to just delete. And what I did was I highlighted everything in that file. I opened the screen to the page and it was telling me, you have this much you need to delete. Delete that much and you will have space back. And I was like, okay. Alright. So, I highlighted it all and I said, I'm only going to save what I feel is necessary to be saved in this file. When I went in, I just started clicking the things that were important files that I knew I needed to store. After that, I deleted everything else. Kept a few songs, kept a few what have you. And you know what? This is how I knew I did the right thing. When I said delete, I had 777 things I was deleting. Exactly. Even number. When I had completed the deleting process, I stepped away, went to the bathroom, released it, came back. You know I only had 4.37 gigs of stuff left in that file folder when I had 13 gigs. I'm like, God, look at you. I ended up with space. And I said it in the bathroom. I said, I'm going to end up with a little bit more space. I'm going to be just underneath. And I was just underneath. And if I want to, I can go back in there and delete some more stuff out to give myself more space if I choose to. If I don't decide to pay for more space. I'm just like, God, look at you. How much stuff are we holding on to? Rejection, sin, lust, jealousy, insecurity, shame, guilt, doubt, fear, past memories, past scenarios that replay in our heads every time we're trying to do something of importance. And we store those files in the back of our mind. And then you sit up there on a day when you actually sit down. Let me start unpacking this. I lie to you not. The way I used to be when I had the space to clean my own space. If I found that I had a lot of stuff and and stuff was starting to look out of order. I'm like, that's too much stuff over there. I would literally take everything I had and pulled it out completely, toss it on my bed, and organize it from top to bottom. Same thing for my closet. And you know what would always end up happening? As God is my witness, every single time I did that, every single time I did that, I would always throw away half the stuff that was in there. It was a bunch of junk that was left in between. Paper, cellophane, documents that no longer were necessary, storage paper, all kinds of stuff that you could have just threw out. And it was stuck in between the stuff that I really needed to keep. When I think back to the storage space that I recently lost, when I think about it, it was about 5 things in that whole storage space that I wish I had kept. But even when I think about the things that I wish I had kept, 1, God can replace them for better. 2, the things that I wish that I had kept, it was like a notebook that if I wanted to order a new one, I could order a new one and refill it from a different headspace. 2, it was a printed copy of my book, which I can just go and reprint whenever I get money to reprint it. Because I had the original copy. I literally just saved one in that file. A piece of a garment that I had wanted to keep, and I'm like, Lord, you've been talking to me about that anyway, so you gonna replace that. Because I made the effort, you are a God that replaces me with double and with better. So that may not have been what I was supposed to keep, but I pray that whoever got it, it blessed them. And it was a notebook I had, which actually half of those notes are already in my tablet. At least 75% of those notes are already in my tablet. And it was a sketchbook that had some sketches in it that I did not bring with me. It was a hardcover sketchbook. I brought the soft cover. I didn't bring the hardcover. It is what it is. The one that I did bring that had that, and it's a filing thing that I had that had some photos and some documents in it. But the documents that I would have wanted to save, I actually have copies of that in a file inside of the files that I just saved. So, what did I really lose? Some of us are so terrified in our healing process of losing something we want to keep that we aren't really willing to let go of all the junk that we should have let go. I've been seeing let go of these things, and I was literally like, you know what? You're right, let go. I was literally talking to the Lord the other day, and I was sitting there saying to myself, if I'm meant to lose something, you're going to take it anyway. Otherwise, if you don't want to take it, then show me how to save it in a way that I don't have to lose it. And sometimes it's just going in and flushing out the system, clearing it out. You got stuff in there that you don't need. Delete. It's unnecessary to keep that any longer. Why are you holding on to that no longer works? Delete. It's taking up space that's unnecessary. I got files and videos in one of my other storage systems in not in my computer, but a drive that I have. I got a bunch of stuff in there, and I'm simply like, why am I still holding on to this? I know it doesn't play anymore. Why do I still have it? Am I just holding up this? It's a holding space. That's what it's doing. It's holding space. It's nothing. It's unusable. The actual file is unable to be opened because the link is broken. I need to go in and just delete it. Why am I holding on to it? We hold on to things. Wounds. Our own stories. Stories. I was listening to somebody and they were telling a story of it, somebody in their family. And people do this. They got stories that they hold on to. That's their version of what happened. That they will never let go. And you're sitting there like, you know that happened like 20, 30 years ago? Why are you still holding on to that? I used to have an aunt. I never liked talking to her because she will hold you on the phone for 3 hours rehashing the past 30 years. Every time she talked to you. She had to rehash that entire 30-year sequence. Before you got to actually have present day conversation, you had to wait for her to finish that conversation for 3 hours about the last 30 years. Then you can talk about what's going on in the present day. But she gonna have to tell you about what happened every time. Even if you talked to her yesterday, she gonna tell you about that. I got to tell you. Because you remember what happened in 1984. Or 1987. And I was like, yes, I was born in 1980. Yes, when you was born, this is what happened. I was like, oh my God. And I was mad at this person. I was mad at this person. I was mad at this person. I was like, oh Jesus. I talked to her about 3 times. And I said, no wonder you have cut me off from this person. And I have not been able to speak to them in all these years. My mother was doing me a favor. Because they were stuck in that time frame. I was listening to Dr. G on YouTube. And she was talking about some people get arrested in development in a moment in time where a piece of trauma happened and they never grow from there. You see, children never grow from the age in which they were when something traumatic happened. They'll never stop being that. They'll never mentally grow from that place. And it takes time and it takes energy. It takes certain things. Because as you grow, certain things will actually release you. I remember hearing Sarah Jake say this 3-4 months ago. I was looking at a reel and she said, I pray for those people. Please release me. Please be mad at me because I've grown. Because then you let me go. There are people that are spiritually holding on to you because they stuck in their stuff and they weren't willing to let go of their issues and their problems and their things. But you've moved on and they mad. You're supposed to stay in this mess with me. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to release you and let you go. I remember I was having a conversation with a family friend. And the first thing they always like to say is, well, if I was you, I wouldn't. If I was you, I wouldn't. If I was you, I wouldn't. I stopped them one day and I said, you are not me. When I said that, it was like I slapped them in the face. I'm like, I'm not you. I'm not. I got up and walked away. You know, they talked to themselves for the next 20 minutes about how angry they were that I said that. How dare you? It's not funny, but people out here hurting and ain't healing because they holding on to stuff. It's a quote that I live by. People won't go to the places that you are willing to go, nor do the things that you are willing to do. Because they aren't willing. It's the things that you are willing to change that will get you to the places that you're trying to go. There are people that will never change because they aren't willing to do the things that you're willing to do to get and see the changes in which you're desiring to see. They'll never see it. But then they'll get mad at you because you did it. Or they'll want to jump up next to you right quick when you receive your blessing behind all that warfare you had to go through to fight through to get to that other side. You were willing to make the sacrifices in the fight in order to heal. Last night, the Lord put me through a bit of a test. And I was like, God be having you do stuff that you be sitting there like, He will use the foolish things to confound the wise. I'm Christian, so I haven't watched a horror movie in so long. It's been almost 8 years since I watched a horror movie. And last night, He had me watch Scream 5. I said, God, I don't want to watch Scream 5. There's a whole lot of profanity in that movie that was unnecessary. It's unnecessary. Y'all couldn't have said that sentence without cursing. I'm just saying, it was unnecessary profanity. That same sentence could have been said without any of that profanity. Every other word was a cuss word. I'm like, why did you say that? It was just not necessary. God let me watch the movie, and I was like, why am I watching this? I skipped every murder scene, and I just watched the storyline. Because that's the way He kind of told me. Just watch the storyline. I was like, okay. And I'm like, why am I watching this film? I pretty much know how it goes. I've seen these movies before. I know it. And in it, they explain the premise of the movie. It's the irony of that film series. But with that being said, I'm watching the film, and God gives me a tap on 2 different scenes. It was a statement said in 2 different scenes in that movie. He made me watch that whole movie for 2 different scenes. I'm like, God, what is this? In the first scene that I got a spirit tap was, the girl said when she pointed at one of the original characters from the first film, Legendary. The second time, it was about 20 minutes later, the main star of the film, the female main star, was being referenced by the other character that was standing next to her. She said, she is the original. I was like, and I felt it again. I'm like, what you trying to say, Lord? There are generational curses, and that's pretty much what that film was depicting. It was a generational curse that this town was continuing to go through this same exact experience over and over and over. It's about the devil, or the devil's minions doing the exact same thing over and over and over. Nothing new. Nothing new. They did the exact same thing that was done 25 years ago. Nothing new. Exact same thing. But you have to still go in, do your warfare, heal from those issues. The main character coming back was her coming back from a healed place to help take out what was happening in that moment. It's like she had grown, she'd gotten her family together, everything. She'd released it and let it go. But she had to come back to the place in which it started in order to help the healing process. And it was necessary because one of the other main characters had died from the original. Which reminds me of the scripture that the people sometimes cannot cross into the promised land until the old die off. Because their mindsets need to change. Doesn't mean that they're not legends. Doesn't mean that they haven't made an impact. They just gotta go. It's their time. The queen just died 2 days ago. She made an impact on this world. How she made an impact, it's questionable. But she made an impact on this world. If you understand spiritual things, you'll get why I said that. But sometimes the old has to die off for there to be a changing of the guard. Now, the original character did not die. And it was kind of funny because those of us that understand warfare, you're going to get this scene. It was the last scene. It was one of the last scenes in the film. She's sitting there with the other female character from the original film. And this is a major crime scene. And they're literally sitting there on the bench like it's a cookout. You are expecting them to pick up a beer and start drinking because they are chilling talking. Like, this did not just happen. But that's the way us as children of God gotta be. We gotta go through warfare and be at peace. It's like, other people be like, this was a massacre. What are you doing sitting here looking calm? Because we've been through this before. We know this, boo. We know this. We vets in this. The warfare. This child's play to us. And it's so funny. This is so funny. This is so funny. God gave this to me. Look, God used the foolish things to confound the wise. God gave this to me last night, and I was cracking up. Cracking up. I was thinking of the song by Cassie, Me and You. Now, one might say, what? Me and You is a sexy song. No. Think about it like this. Think about it like this. Think about that if it's your enemies. It's me and you now. I've been waiting. I'm about to make that move. Tell me how you like it. Think about it. Tell me how you like it. You've been torturing me. You've been fighting me. It's been a generational curse. We've been at war. We about to be out here in this healing process. I'm trying to heal. You trying to stay in the same place. I'm about to make that move. It's me and you. Right now. I'm about to make my move. I've been waiting. I've been fasting. I've been out here. I've been praying. I'm about to make that move. Tell me how you like it. When you get your judgment. Tell me how you like it when this warfare come down on your head. Tell me how you like it. I'm going to leave y'all with that. That was fun to me. I heard that immediately after I finished watching that movie. It was so funny. I was cracking up. Because it's that element where, what would you rather? Would you rather be grounded? Or would you rather spend a week in jail? Would you rather be in a homeless shelter? Or spend a week in jail? Would you rather have done something that irritated your boss? Even this. Some of y'all get angry at your parents. I'm talking about even y'all that are adults. Y'all get angry at your parents. Your mom, your dad do something to you and you just don't like it. Teenagers are immature. They'll wish their parents was dead. But if something happened to their parents, they're the first ones sitting there crying their eyes out. Sometimes the Lord will allow you to end up in a scenario that will test the people around you. Sometimes nothing actually happened to you, but it's the assumption that something happened to you that they will no longer take you for granted. The scenario will humble them. It helps you by learning a lesson. Now, some people will sit up there and say, oh, no, God don't teach us lessons. No, God does not sit up there and do horrific stuff to us in order to teach us lessons. The enemy will do horrific stuff to you, but that doesn't mean that the Lord ain't going to use it. Listen to what the Lord said in the book of Job. What are you doing up here? I was prowling around the earth, looking in which whom I can devour. Why don't you go check out my servant Job? You can touch everything he has. You can touch everything around him. You cannot take his life. God will put you through periods of testing where he will allow the enemy to sift everything around you. And it's not because he's allowing the enemy to sift everything around you because he wants it to be stolen. 9 times out of 10, when you really look at the stuff that was stolen from you, it was stuff that you didn't really need anyway. Look at the files that I had this morning that I had to delete. 777 files. There was nothing in there that I needed to keep. Nothing. I kept everything that I needed to keep. And it was exactly the amount that I needed to keep. Stop holding on to things. Stop holding on to things, people, places, money. If you lose it, you'll get it back multiplied as according to Proverbs 6:31. Anything that the enemy stole, the Lord gonna give it back to you sevenfold. Look at what happened to Job. The edict at the end of the book of Job, he explains all the stuff that he gives him back. Multiplied. Daughters, cattle, way more than he had before. Go through your season of testing, but understand that you are going to receive a blessing in the midst of all of that confusion. Let God heal those places, those spaces, those bruises, and those places within you. Let it be a blessing far beyond what you once had and what you thought you could ask for. This is Taj Cameron for the ministry. Until next time, bye-bye.